My name's Kendra Schalk. I am a longtime member of Peace. We joined in 1989. I joined as a child. I'm married into the Schalk family, but I'm a Newton. My mother Cheryl and my father Robert also are members here, and my sisters Emily and Kristen are also have attended here. Emily's also a member. She's on the board of directors. I married Ben Schalk, who's an elder. We've known each other since we were kids, actually, in Kirk Singers and all the different youth ministries. I grew up with him in this church, and then, along with a crew of kids that we grew up with, and are still very much connected to. And so we did not date, though, until we were in our 20s. He was actually my best friend's boyfriend in fifth grade, and her mother actually ran the student youth music program here and was on staff. And so I had to ask her whenever I was like 23 if I could date her ex-boyfriend from Peace Lutheran. So I ended up marrying Ben Schalk in 2013 here at Peace Lutheran. We've decided to make Peace our home. I kind of took us a break from church in general whenever I was in college. When I went to University of Texas at Austin, and just in general took a step back from my faith for several years into college, and then I moved to New York City. I found a little church in New York called Trinity Lutheran Church, which was an ELCA church that I joined, and I kind of started making some changes in my life. I actually was their treasurer before I left to decide to come back to Texas. So I served as like the church treasurer there, and it was a really phenomenal experience for me. I also, like, when I first started going back to church, Ben came back into my life, and I feel like that was God sending me a message of like, this is a connection that you need to make. And so it brought me back home. And I also, whenever we moved back, I wasn't sure that I wanted to come back to Peace since this was my church home as a child. But we kind of toured some other Lutheran churches and other churches and decided to come back to Peace just because, we had a lot of memories here, and we just in general, I love the organ and I love the 8:30 service, and the traditional service, and that's not something that's offered everywhere anymore. Also just in general, it's very, we had our families here, so it just made sense. And as we got married and then, had a couple of years, and then started having kids, this has been a really welcoming community. Things that I didn't think about before, but having a nursery there as, to be able to help me with kids so I can just get an hour break, especially whenever they're very little, to just focus in on the word, and just be able to have a chance to connect in service. It was really wonderful, after especially my first child. And Mary Hildebrandt, when I first was on maternity leave, she was doing a middle of the day, Bible study, and I met Becky Lightgo and a few other ladies in that just kind of Bible study on, like, I think it was on a Monday at like 9 a.m. and it was really wonderful to get a chance to go and connect, something I did on maternity leave with my daughter. Just in general, as we've had our second child going through the pandemic, that was a challenging time. I think we all very much realized how important it is to have a community behind you. It was, we stuck it out with the online church, and then whenever we could come in with masks on, we were on it. I had a baby during COVID, so I stepped up at that time and took a more active role in the nursery. And then as we brought Sunday school back, my sister and I both decided that we were going to step up. I originally worked with Melanie Martin on fourth and fifth graders, in Sunday school. And then I switched over we had our own first grade class between my sister and me. So we've been doing that for about a year, 2 years. And it's been wonderful to get to know those kids, get to know, see them grow, teach them the books of the Bible, actually get them to open a Bible. And we're kind of doing a thing right now where we're looking, looking at all the books of the Bible and talking about them actively week to week, something Betty Coley did for me whenever I was a second grader here. And it's been such a gift to be able to, we did it in fourth and fifth grade. And then whenever I switched over to first grade, I'd realized that the fourth and fifth graders, actually, some of them had never really looked at the books of the Bible and opened a Bible. And then whenever we started switching over to first grade, they're starting to learn how to read. So that's some of the challenge that we have in that class. But just in general, just looking up the verses and starting earlier, trying to get them, they're trying, just to be able to read the Bible, look at it. Also, I've been recently involved in women's ministry. That's really tied me in recently and what I'm passionate about. Melanie Martin has done such a wonderful job with pulling a group of women together. We've got 12 women that are on the team, so we feel like we're the 12 disciples. Just trying to have programming for women to have a chance to connect. I think also just with all the busyness that happens, she was originally inspired by Christmas by Candlelight, and it just is a magical time to be able to just take a moment away from children and my husband, and just have a moment with women and my friends and decorate and enjoy Christmas before the Christmas season really ramps up. And we went on a women's ministry trip, and so excited to get to go have some wine and hang out with ladies for a weekend and on the lake, and we're about to do it again this next year. So women's ministry has been really fun and a wonderful way to connect with other women. So I'm really glad to see us kind of ramp that program. And I think what really pulls me into the to the church. It's so nice to be able to build that community of disciples and just have an opportunity to connect with others, but then also connect with God, find ways how to serve. Something else I'm involved in is I sometimes volunteer with Grace Divine on food distribution. They do it every Saturday, and it's something that that's probably one of the most powerful serving opportunities that I've ever done at the church. And it really feels like you're doing the Lord's work. You see folks who are in need, and you are able to provide groceries for them for free, and just the joy that you're giving folks, and it's just such a wonderful, I think of all the things that there's a lot of great opportunities, but that one, man, just really connects to my heart. So this is a great church, great community. We've been coming here for a long time, and continue to be part of the group. Also, I will say this, I know not everybody loves to talk about money, that coming back from maternity leave, I had a reality check with Mary Hildebrandt about, how much I'm actually tithing back in 2017. And I was like, oh man, just because I think, being a young person, you don't really check that on your personality. And so my husband and I have tried to challenge ourselves to really make sure since we started building a family, to make sure that we build in that tithing piece. We actually try to go a little over what we want to do. So I hope I do it every single year, but it's just trying to make sure that we're also committing to the church financially, in addition to, with our time and kind of our ability to connect, but also making it a priority in our budget. It's kind of a thing whenever we look at our annual finances, pieces number, is our top donor category, our top spending category. So just making sure that we're making that commitment as well. So what to say to somebody who's struggling with making the time commitment to serve at peace? So I think that, it's a real factor. What do you want to really put your time into? I think it's important to identify kind of where your heart is. Not everybody wants to serve in the nursery. And I think I realized that coming out of the pandemic. But identifying, where you potentially can plug in. There's the Step Up Sunday, which I actually think is one of such an impactful way how to identify kind of what all is out there. I'm really glad that has come up as an opportunity, because it kind of lets you shop around and figure out I can never do Academy 4, but that's one of those things that one of these days maybe I can. Coffee ministry is another one that in the future will be on my to-do list, and maybe even choir, once I get my kids to a certain age, maybe that's an opportunity, because I'm also pretty conscious of my time as well. So I think you need to shop around to figure out which ministry do you connect in with, but I think it's important to connect, to make sure that you've engaged, you get to know people. I think it's also important to pray about it. Um, and also be open to taking an opportunity that you may not necessarily may align with your schedule, but you might not have been interested in. Like, I do think Sunday school is just an incredible ministry. You're ministering to families that may actually not be in the service at all, may never come to the service, and they just do Sunday school. And so there's a lot of opportunity for, not just the one thing that I've seen is also sometimes there's like very stereotypical female roles, nursery, Sunday school, working with children, to stereotypically female, but then the men that have stepped up, James Land specifically, if you're watching this, James Land, who stepped up and has been such a wonderful kind of role model for the men that are in his class, the little boys that want to make jokes and disrupt the Sunday school class, and then James Land kind of serves as that role model to kind of, help guide. Same with David. David's also another male that volunteers at Sunday school, and they really, it's so great to see them kind of break that gender barrier.